Hey guys, thanks for coming back. This time we're going to show you a video that we've recorded. Essentially what's happened is we've got a multicam situation. I'm going to be covering that off again with multicam and how that all works. But essentially we had two cameras, a Panasonic DVX200, which I actually quite like, the Panasonic. Having said that, amazingly I think the Canon 5D is still a fantastic camera to use, especially if you mount it on a really good set of I guess a camera stabilizer. In my case it was the Manfrotto. I love the Manfrotto Fig Rig. I think they're brilliant. I'm not sure if they're being rejigged or redesigned or re-engineered because they're off the market at the moment. It's 2017, mid-2017. I hope that Manfrotto bring them back. I'd be shocked to find out that they get rid of them. But having said that, it was a multi-camera shoot, so we've clearly got a different color space with the Panasonic in Vlog and the flat color profile of the what's it called, Canon 5D Mark II. Now what we're going to do is we're going to be using Colorista from Magic Bullet. So this is Red Giant that make Colorista. I believe I've got one of their website pages up. If we go to here and then we go to products, Magic Bullet Suite, we're going to be using Colorista. Look, it's not the cheapest program, and if there was anything I'd say about these guys, it would be they should offer this as a yearly subscription across their products and not be ridiculously overpriced. They've got to remember that Adobe have decided to sell their product for $50 a month, so I'm hoping that these guys don't go crazy with their pricing. But right now the full pricing for Magic Bullet, unless it's dropped in price, which sounds like it'd be pretty cool. Am I seeing that correctly? It looks like they've dropped the price. But anyway, this is what I'm using, Magic Bullet Colorista. Oh, it's just Colorista on its own. So if you want the full suite, it's a bit more. But anyway, long story short, great product to use, works really well. I'm going to show you how to do it right now. So that's it. That's what we're using to do this. So first things first, surprisingly, what you're going to want to do is actually grab these videos. We're going to go into full screen view. We're going to go first camera, press and hold Alt. We're going to drag it out to here, and I'm going to show you the reason why in a sec. We're going to make sure that that was a copy and unlink and get rid of the audio because we don't need it. Now what I'm actually doing is just grabbing the two cameras to start. So we'll just go back and we'll find now the little Sony cam. So there's our Panasonic camera, and if I mouse over it I should be able to see the name of the video. So as you can see, Panasonic Day 2, I'll just do that for you. As I hover over it, Panasonic Day 2 blah blah, it's the Panasonic camera. If I hover over this one, it's Panasonic Day 2. It's a bit unusual. Let me just go back again. That's not even possible. So that's definitely the I'm going to safely assume that that's the Canon camera. I don't know how they got the same titles. But anyway, what we're going to do here, this is why I use Prelude to rename videos as I bring them in. But anyway, I'm just going to press and hold Alt, drag it out, and we're going to put it on the second line. Once again, right click. So right click, unlink, and remember it's a copy, of course, yeah? So just bear in mind, copy. So press and hold the Alt key and click and drag, right? So you're dragging out a copy, right? That's what you need to be doing. There's a reason why we do this. Let's go back into here. We're going to drag over to here. We're going to zoom in for a sec so you can see what's going on. Now what are we seeing here? We're seeing this clip, yeah? We're seeing the top clip. We get rid of it, we see the bottom clip. But what we really want to do is we're not really worried about this little girl being in sync. What we are interested in though is the following. We're going to grab this clip, go to Effects Controls, we're going to position this clip across, okay? So now we've got both clips pretty much on top of each other, okay? That's what we want. Now what we may do is grab this second clip here, drag that out a little bit, okay? Now what we can see, which is critical in this, is as you can see, this is the reason why we dragged out this footage. We want to actually color correct that video, then color correct that video and match the two. But more importantly, we can now see, you can't see because I'm using dual monitors, but we can actually see the scopes, right? Now that's critically important because now what we've got, let's just look at this scope here. This scope is made up of both images, but what I can easily do is turn one off and we can see the saturation on this clip here, right, is so much lower than if we turn them both off and then turn that one back on, the saturation on here. So you get what's going on straight away. You know that this clip here, this second clip, the top clip, is far more saturated than the bottom clip right now. When we color correct, we should find that the saturation is about the same for both. What we'll also see though, and this is a really big thing here, and I'll drag this out to here, we're also seeing the scopes. Okay, let's just get both of them in here. We can see the scopes for the top clip, neither of the clips, and then we can see. So this clip, the scopes are sitting on this side. This clip here, scopes are sitting on the other side, right? So basically what's happening is the scopes on this side are literally together, and we can now do our adjustments knowing that our exposure on this camera is a little lower than the exposure on this one. This is sitting a lot higher up. So that's telling us that the Canon camera, right, which is this one here, is a lot higher up, meaning that it's sitting, if we just make sure that we hide it, let's have a look. So you can see the Canon camera, the blacks aren't brought down yet. We've got the highlights not sitting anywhere near the top. And so we know that we've got a massively different set of exposure going on with this camera, and we can compare the scopes together. So what we're going to do now is just jump out of here for a sec, and we're going to color correct the first camera and get rid of the second one, right? So what we want to do is hide the second camera. Now we're going to color correct this one first. So let's do that. We're going to jump on with Colorista. And just remember, so we shot this in Vlog, so we're going to import a flat Vlog. Look, realistically, you wouldn't really do this often, but for this client, we're just going to go with Vlog. So we're going to go into here and grab the Vlog. So let's just see where I've got that. I've got it buried, haven't I? So we're going to go, let's just grab this for now. Okay. So we've applied the Vlog, which doesn't seem right. So let's just undo that. Control Z. I'm not even close to happy with that. Let's just try that again. Maybe that was the wrong camera. Let's just try this one. Okay, completely wrong. I'm assuming that this is not the Panasonic camera. I'm going to safely assume that that is incorrect. So Control Z. I'm going to safely assume it's, believe it or not, the Canon camera, and then the other one is. So what we're going to do now is go Video, Guided Color Correction. Next, it's flat video. And what we're starting to do is grab the black levels. Now, the way this works is that that's obviously too light, that's obviously too dark, but what it's doing is when you see the blue, that's telling you that everything in blue is sitting at black. And what you want to do is get just enough black to show, but not too much. You don't want to see this amount of black. You want to see just the hint of black, you know, where your black levels are too much, and then just bring it back a notch, dial it back. Okay? So that's that. The white levels, yeah, this is definitely the Canon camera. Sorry guys, I've been getting confused lately, haven't I? So that's going to tell us that we don't want the white sitting in the red at all. We're going to bring it up so the exposure's coming up, the midtones are coming up. And contrast. Now we're going to see the scopes in a sec. And obviously bring the saturation back. As you can see, the Canon camera really loves those reds. Look at that. It's just blown out in the reds area. and we're going to bring that down a notch. I'll tell you one way to get better color temperature than what we're seeing now. This is kind of like a bit of a guess, but this is a terrible way to kind of find your white balance. One thing we can do is try to find a neutral grey in here. And then maybe find the skin tone. And not doing much for us, to be honest. Sometimes it's good to just drag this and just pull it down and try to, manually do what's going on. Okay. So this is our Canon footage. Obviously mismatching if we turn on the Panasonic camera, this is Vlog. So this is your Vlog there, this is your Canon. Now one of the things that we can immediately do is the following. One of the simplest things we can do is zoom in. So we're going to go to about 200%. Okay, we're going to grab the hand tool. Actually, we don't have to bother with the hand tool. What we're going to do is find a location that should be white. And in this case, we may not worry about the white banner, but we may think, well, that's meant to be white. So what we can do is the following. Go back to the V. So that's our selection tool. Okay, we're going to close this off. We don't want to see the bottom camera. We want to see this one. What we're now going to do is get rid of motion. We're going to get this tool here. Let's go to fit. Let's just grab it and move it up to here. Go back to 200%, and what we're doing is the following. We're going to basically mask so that we only see, sorry guys, I'm going to have to bounce back to fit. The mask is just way too big, so we're just going to grab it, pull it in, and just mask that white area, and I'm going to show you the reason why. Okay, zoom back in to 200%, go back up to that top right corner. Okay, what we've done is we've grabbed a section that we know is meant to be white. Okay, I believe we've got a mask feather happening here. We're going to get rid of that. We don't need the mask feather, so we're just going to make it 0. Now, I'm going to bring the scopes across. What you can see, okay, is we've got this little trace of yellow-red, right? That is happening in the white area. What we're going to do, and you may be able to just pick it in here, but essentially we've got a bit of a blue trace. So what we want to do is get it so that when we go into Colorista, I'm going to bring it down a notch to go into temperature and tint. Now we know that we've got too much yellow. We're going to pull that yellow out so we know seeing what's going on here, right? So we've pulled out some of that, dialing in the yellow. We're just trying to squeeze it back in. We're just trying to see what's happening here, and then the tint, just moving that around. Okay. So pure and simple, all we're seeing in the mask, or put simply in here, right, is that. Now, to get rid of that and to see the whole thing without having to move around and kind of, what we do is we actually go up in here into mask and we turn it off by basically clicking the effects. So then we can see the whole image, and let's just go back to fit. And you can sort of see that we've neutralized this image a little better, right? Now, the next thing we're going to do is grab this clip, hide this one now, show that one. We're going to now do Colorista on this one. So this one was log. This was the Panasonic DVX. So sorry about that, guys. We're going to import a vlog to blah blah, and that's why that looks a lot better, right? So obviously the Canon camera can't obviously handle the vlog. Now what we're going to do is the same old story. We're going to go in and guided tour, continue. That's it. So put simply, just so you know, that's the vlog LUT that we just applied. Now we don't always have to use these boring and you can see how I can push the image a little bit more and not get so much of that black happening, because obviously that's what vlog is. It's you know, it's spreading the color out a bit more. So that's that, and then we go into the white levels. So we're getting that happening early, and we're just going to play with the midtones, bring them in pretty much standard. We're not going to do too much excitement just yet because this is a guided tour, just to kind of push it along a little. Notice the colors sit a bit more where they belong. We might just bring that out a little. But clearly, we've got a better white balance on this camera, because clearly we've got the greys sitting where they're probably supposed to be. This is more so where the greys should be. So that's that. Now, we've got a problem though, haven't we? The two cameras are definitely not identical, and we're not even close to being the same. So now what we've got to do is get these two cameras to match. So the saturation level in the camera, let's just double check. We'll get rid of the Sony camera, bring this in, and we're going, well, hang on a minute, how do we even start looking at this and getting what's going on? Well, the first thing we can do is we scrub through. Let's go with the dress of the girl, right? So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go into, make sure we've got this video selected. We're going to bring that across and find where the little girl is with her dancing, and we're going to find the white of her dress, and we're going to try to get those to match. We're going to look at the saturation level, because this is the easiest thing to match, is a white dress. So we can see the trace is sitting, her white dress absolutely is sitting as a blue, green, and red. The reds are low, the greens are high, the blues are high, and we can definitely see the blues are dominant, right? We can see it both on the RGB scope, and in case you're wondering how this is happening, it's all because of this, right? We've got the vector scope and the parade. If I get rid of the parade, it disappears. We've just got the vector scope, and you can see it's definitely heading towards blue. So we'll go back, get the RGB going as well. We've got both. Now, that tells us, as you can see, now you start to realize, yeah, that's right, the dress is blue. Let's go back to the other one. Let's click that away, click that on, and this time we're going to turn on the okay, we're going to bring that down. We don't need that. Now we're going to grab the mask. Okay, make sure it's the hand tool, and we're going to find the little girl with her dress, although we're going to have to open this up a little bit because otherwise we can't see anything. You can immediately start to sense that there's a massive color difference between these dresses. So just dragging it across the skirt here, and you can see the difference. We've got a massive trace difference. Just get rid of that RGB scope for a sec. You can see it, right? So in the Panasonic camera, her dress is sitting down there. In the the Canon camera, it's sitting up in the reds. It's sitting up in the magentas, right? And not in the blues. So what do? Well, we kind of look at both of these, and we might try to bring them around to each other. So the other way we can look at this is the RGB parade, and see that it's nowhere near the same. The red and the green are about balanced, but the blue's a little high. So what are we going to do? Well, we've got an option. Do we want to get rid of some of that that blue and bring it down a notch? To do that, we've got an option here. If we think that that dress is sitting in the highlights, which it is, as you can see, it's sitting up in the highlights, what we can do is, one of our options is grab the highlights and drag it into the blue. Okay, so now I'm seeing the blue it should start to dominate a little bit. Let's have a look. Let's just really exaggerate that. Okay, and you can see I've made it a lot more blue, right? If we jump in here and bring it up a notch, you can see that it's sitting blue. But more importantly, if we grab this scope, you can see that it's sitting, the blues are up here now, the green's down there, the red's down here. As you can see, it's starting to turn blue. But realistically, if we get rid of that for a sec, you can start to see that this is not even looking close to healthy. Right? We're not getting anywhere. Now, so what that tells us is that that's not the way to go at all. Okay, so that wasn't a good option at all. We're going to drag that back out. Okay, so yeah, not working. So we're going to drag that away. In fact, I'm going to make sure we grab the right one and hide this bottom one. So we're not happy with that at all. So we're not going to be doing that. That's not going to work for us. We can see that dragging it into the blue was not the way to go. So let's just drag that back. Do we drag it more red? You can see we're not getting anywhere. If we drag it more green, we're not getting anywhere. So we're going to do a subtle adjustment, just a little bit. But more importantly, we're seeing that it's not really working for us. So what we're better off doing is possibly doing a bit more of a temperature change. As we start to bring in more of the, we're bringing in more red. That's not working for us, so we're not going to go there. The tint isn't working either, not much, right? So our tint temperature change isn't going to do us any good. We can see that the dress isn't really going where we want it to. So we'll do a secondary change. Let's have a look. We're going to try to drag our reds that's our shadow detail, so we're not seeing anything happen there. So let's see if we can't grab this, the midtones. It's definitely moving it, but it's not doing what we want. So what we're better off doing now is to try to manually correct by using the scopes. I've found that sometimes that's a bit hit and miss and not really the way to go. So we're not even going to bother. We've tried to target the through a mask technique, but it's not helping. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to look at this video and think, okay, if we get rid of this one for now and look at the saturation, okay, turn that one on, turn that off, and we can see there's definitely a saturation difference. What we can see is that this camera here, the Panasonic, spread evenly, whereas the other Canon camera is sitting more up in that area there. So what we'll do, see if we can bring in some more blue on the Canon camera. I'm wondering if our saturation is wrong on this camera as well. So this camera here, meant to be log. Just going to mess with the saturation a little. I think that's where our first issue lies, is the saturation. So okay, the other thing I can play with is the exposure. I think the exposure is a little high. Bring it down a notch. Now we've definitely got a massive color difference. Even in the floor you can see a massive change. So you can clearly see the difference between a Panasonic camera and a Canon camera, are almost night and day. Just seeing if we can't get that red to balance out. So we're definitely not happy with that sitting there. We've got to kind of bring that in. Now, the next thing we want to do have we dialed that blue in a little bit too much to give it a bit of a weird look and feel? Now, as you can see, I'm causing a lot of confusion for myself by not even naming the cameras correctly. So that's caused me a huge problem. So right now I'm trying to get even the carpet to sit the same. And I think the other big giveaway, if we've got a problem, is definitely skin tones. So believe it or not, we're going to start with that now. So we're going to turn this back on, turn that off, grab the mask, and just bring it over the top of the skin. So one of the things that probably would have happened here that you would definitely have used is a color chart, one of those color charts from X-Rite and all those guys. We're looking for where the skin tone sits. It seems to be sitting where it needs to be, so that's fine. Let's get rid of that. Go to the other video. Grab the mask. Okay, and let's grab the mask on this one and see where her skin tone sits. Slightly different saturation level, but it's sort of sitting where it belongs. But we've definitely got a saturation difference. So it's not so much the skin tone is wrong, it's more so that we're not seeing the colors that we need. So that's our main issue at the moment. Definitely in terms of the flooring, and obviously we've got a problem here. We've got these blues coming from the Panasonic, and then these deep reds are sitting there. So we've got an issue with red at the moment. I think it's a color temperature issue. So shadows are looking a little red. Let's just pull that out. Let's see if we can't get that into the blues. Just testing a few things to see if we can't work out what's going on. We're trying to get those into the greens. Save that for now. Okay, so we've got a massive difference in exposure, so I don't think the lower exposure is helping the situation, so we're going to fix that. Okay, our issue now is the color. This tends to suggest maybe a color correction wasn't done. We don't want to push these to be too exaggerated. So our main issue now is we've got a definite change here in the flooring. And that's generally speaking our reds. I mean, even if I was to reintroduce the mask, grab the mask and just grab it into here, into the floor, and just drag that out. Let's have a look, because this is where our issue is. Wish it would stop dragging that silly thing out. So if we just drag that out. Okay. So that's our floor. And our flooring is sitting in that red, highly saturated, yeah? So let's have a look at the floor on the other one. Okay, grab the mask. use the hand and then grab that floor, and let's see what happens. Just curious to see where the floor's sitting. We don't want anything else but the flooring. And that's enough. So I think the issue then, it tells us that it's the saturation level. So, and also we can see from the RGB, we've got red, green, blue. Okay. Whereas if we switch to the other one, we've got two issues here. Exposure level is way down, and also we've got saturation much higher. So let's have a look. Yeah, that seems to be our issue. Now we put both of them together and we can see one of the videos is much higher exposure, and so just to tell you, this is one video that's the two reds together clearly, the two greens and the two blues showing the video. But pure and simple, we've got a basic color change here. We've got one that sits more in the red, one that's sitting more in the yellow red, and of course exposure difference. So let's balance out the exposure. So that's what we did there. We brought one of them down in line with the other. So that means if we do the following, and then we want to get one's got a lot more red. And that's clearly a camera difference. That's not even what we're doing. It really is the camera. But we're going to swing one around. We need to get one to get in line with that. So let's do that. Let's see if the color temperatures is what we need to do. Now this is really weird. It's not giving me a live. So what we're better off doing now is turning both of them on. Something's not quite right. Okay, so what I'm trying to do now is just get the shadow detail out, which is clearly where this flooring sits. Get rid of that. Start showing this and see if we can't get that. So we'll try to get this one back in the middle. And we'll drop that saturation down. Love it when I can't find something. Okay, saturation needs to come down a notch. It's really weird. So I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, this whole time I'm wondering if I've accidentally put the masks in the wrong spot. And hence the reason we weren't getting anywhere. So if I hide that, I've clicked this video and check for its mask. It's not what I've done wrong at all. So this is just the weirdest thing when you've got both of them on and they just won't match. Turn that mask on. It's almost identical. Let's just try something, because this could just be a weird, stupid, idiotic flaw that's happening at the moment. What we're going to do is go copy, paste attributes, just a total frustration to say the least. So this is the Canon camera. How did that even happen? Unbelievable. But what I'm going to say now is, obviously we've got a massive saturation on the now if we go to this one, okay, so that's the Panasonic camera. This is really unusual. Yeah, it seems to be kind of really just getting a bit weird. But essentially what we're trying to do is get it to the stage where we're not seeing that massive change in the flooring. So that's been our big problem. And really unusual how that's all been happening. But normally the technique that I'm using should have fixed this. Yeah, we're just not seeing it. We're certainly not getting the same saturation levels here. So the V-log is far less saturated than it should be. Amazing. All right, so we're not having much fun. I think I've been accidentally... Unbelievable. What is going on with this video? It's incredible what problems it's giving me. Yeah. All right. So what we'll do now, I think we're going to quit it here. This is clearly not working out tonight, so we're just getting nowhere. The footage is just sporadic to say the least. We can't get any of the colors to match. We've got way too much saturation in the pinks here. Suddenly jump to here, we're just way undersaturated. So the saturation levels aren't even coming close to balancing. I can't even begin to tell you what's going on now. Yeah. All right, we've got a glitch. There's no two ways about it. So there you go. That's unfortunate. We're just not getting anywhere. So I'll cut it there and I'll try to work it out.